Welcome to a slightly drizzly Monday evening. I didn't think I'd be back here, but so much has been kicking off with the tree coin idea that I wanted to do a little update for you. It's also the beginning of a week of disruption activities from Extinction Rebellion in London and around the world this week. So check out Extinction Rebellion's website and see if you want to get involved in that. But like I said last time, this feels like the most useful thing I can do to try and forge a new plan, a different way forward. So I'm going to crack on with it. And even though I didn't really have the energy for it today, I've been inspired by seeing what's going on to carry on. I've been meeting up with all sorts of friends and contacts this week. So I did a New Agreements podcast with Jesse Baker at Provenance, who gave me some real good insights. My friends Steve and Laura, who've got great experience in all the tough stuff that I'm not familiar with around scale, so compliance, how to make sure that we're legal, basically. It's one thing to ask people for money as a donation to put trees in the ground. It's a very different thing once you're providing value back. And then thirdly, a triple difficult thing when you're saying, oh, that value we've given you back in the form of a Corcocoin, you can now trade that with somebody else for value and it may go up over time. To you guys, to Joe Forrester Walker, who's working with me on the legals, and to everybody else I've been speaking with about this for the last 2 weeks, thank you so much. I'm having a lot of fun doing it, frankly, and it really feels like we're putting our brains together and coming up with something useful. The most important news is that there is an Indiegogo page. You can go on there right now, put your email address in, and you'll be notified when it launches. We're hoping to launch on October 21st and run it for 30 days, a £10,000 campaign. We've already lined up a few people who say they're up for getting involved, but we're waiting on one thing, which is for Jim in Scotland. He's already had an offer accepted on the land in Scotland. It's 140 hectares, of which 30 is currently unplanted, so available for us to pay for and then put new trees into the ground that we can create Corcocoins from. Some people have been asking me, is this a carbon credit? What you're buying if you buy a tree is you're buying a carbon capturing machine, and then each year as the rings grow, we will unlock a digital representation of the carbon that your tree has captured. But the idea is that we'll guarantee that on average the portfolio will never be lower than the amount of carbon that we're selling. This website Sandbag gives a very helpful understanding of the European average price of carbon per tonne. And for the last 3 years, since 2016, it's been going up steadily from about €5 all the way up to nearly 30 and about 25 at the moment. And I guess the premise of this whole idea, this whole platform, is that the value of carbon will go up. And arguably it's already 10 times that, but the market doesn't represent it. Well, it should do, because we need carbon capture more than we've ever needed it before. I've been working with Ali Simmons, a blockchain expert over in the States. We've been going back and forwards, trying to deal with this challenging question of very funny language, but should the token, the coin, be fungible or non-fungible? Fungible means you could replace this coin with any other coin because they're exactly the same. And non-fungible are collectibles, like art that you collect. They have a value. Every item has its own attributes. In the end, we have made a decision, and that is that this will be a fungible token, probably hosted on the Ethereum network using an ERC20 token. Every year that you hold the tree, another ring will be unlocked. So we will call them rings, but essentially in Ethereum terms, a new token will be unlocked for you every single year that you are the holder of that tree. It's actually going to be 60 trillion tokens. Not just one token per one tree, but one token per one tree per 1 year. And that's the way that we can keep it fungible. And this has been a hard project to figure out. I was talking with my friend Jordan, who is a vegan and has done really well on educating me about plant-based diet over the last few years. And we had an interesting conversation where I looked at what is the impact of flying versus going vegan. And at first glance, it looks like going from a heavy meat-eating diet to a vegan diet might take you from 3.5 tons to 1.5 tons of carbon emissions a year, which means that you're saving 2 tons a year. That is similar to one return flight from New York. It's also the same as running a thirsty car for 5,000 miles, which might be a year of car usage. And so it kind of shows that although going vegan is a really good way to reduce your imprint on the world, if you fly a lot, it is not the most important aspect of your life. However, there are lots of other costs that go along with veganism, like the cost of water and then the animal rights stuff, lots of other things, but in carbon terms, it's not necessarily the most draining on society, which is interesting because if you listen to Cowspiracy and other voices like that, it's easy to believe it's the only thing that matters. However, in order for us to get to 1 trillion trees, we need to use agro-monoculture land, fields basically, and I'm hoping that at £10 or close to £10 a tree, farmers in the UK and all around the world will want to turn their flat fields back into agroforestry land, where they can make more money and produce more and increase biodiversity in a way that mono farming, like farming for corn, can't do. But the only way that would work and us still to have enough food is if we do reduce our meat consumption, because 48% of land in the UK is currently used for meat. That's mad. So if we do reduce our meat consumption, it creates a lot of space in the country. We haven't run out of space. We've got more room for immigrants, for immigration, for refugees. Our desire to eat meat savages our land, basically. It takes up loads of our capacity. And so reducing our meat consumption does kind of go hand in hand with planting trees and increasing our carbon capture abilities, which is kind of an interesting point, which I've not heard anyone make before. Just for clarity, I'm not vegan, but I did stop eating beef about 3 years ago, and I still eat very little. It's just that sometimes I get done by a Scotch egg at the petrol station when I'm tired and lonely and it's late at night. Hello, Scotch egg, my old friend. There is one issue with the 60-year lease that I'm yet to solve. How do we know that we are not incentivizing the early cutting of trees? Because if getting paid £10 a tree is an amazing deal for landowners, they're going to want the shortest time possible between when they can get paid another set of £10. We don't want anyone to take trees down before they're ready, because trees are most powerful at capturing carbon the bigger they are. So the last thing we want to do is get all these trees up to 60 years, everyone chops them down, and then we start again. So there's one other thought that we have to solve there. There are 3 or 4 other projects I've come across in the last couple of weeks that are pretty damn close, one way or another, to what we're talking about. I'll link them below, you can have a look at them yourself. They are different in different ways. I've been in contact with one of them already, and we're going to share notes. There's 1,000 reasons why 1 or 2 of these ideas may work and may not work, and it's good to have a few heading in the same direction. It makes us more likely to solve the problem, and they may join and blend together in the end anyway. Some of these are pretty nice websites, so you might want to check them out. Mossy Earth are doing well on the rewilding aspect. The photography is beautiful. And also the tracking and traceability of each tree. Pachama are doing well on the carbon emissions and the blockchain end of things. And Reforestum is the project that I have actually spoken with, which the Provenance guys made me aware of. They are not doing per tree, they're doing per meter. And they currently have one project in Spain, 68 square meters. So they are at a very similar level to us, very early days. They're doing their first prototype, which is what we're doing in Scotland. What I've often been asked by people is, well, do you really need the token? Are you just complicating it? If this is just relying on you being kind and donating, then it won't create a new incentive in society. To get a massive uptake of new tree planting, we need a new incentive. People respond to incentives. And if we can get £10 a tree for farmers, and if that is enough for them to want to turn what is mono agriculture into agroforestry, and you know that you get value returned to you, that you may make a profit and capture carbon that offsets your life over the next 60 years, then we will transform the way the market works. And by doing so, we might build a powerful new economic system. And I don't think that's ever been done at scale before. I don't think there's ever been a economic system that follows the same constraints that ecology follows. And I think that would be transformative for our minds and our mindsets, rather than always fighting the economic linear system telling us that more is better, and our wisdom telling us that we know better. Maybe we might have bridged that gap. And if not, hopefully this is part of the movement towards that. I also see this coin and currency as a strategy and a plan moving towards this global state concept that I've been working on for the last couple of years. If we start buying bits of land and different ownership in different countries around the world, we will start caring about things outside of our countries in a very, very different way. And it also gives our little global hamlet, our village of friends all over the world, a way to do meaningful transactions at a distance. And speaking about cultural kind of transactions and icons, 2 of the songs that were brewed up at the Swell last year, the rain's coming down, are coming out next Sunday, October the 13th. The song Friends is coming out on Spotify and all major platforms. And on October the 20th, the song Beauty in the Scars is coming out. And I have been waiting for so long for these to come out. George and the gang have done an incredible job. I cannot wait for you guys to hear them. And again, it's another way for you to kind of get into this mindset. Go click on the Indiegogo, get involved, buy a tree. If you've got skills or interest in this area, in crypto, in carbon, in ecology, you just love the idea, if you're interested in crowdfunding, if you're an influencer, any of those things, do get in touch. We want to make sure that this is an amazing success and starting point. You won't get your coin until a few months into the new year. We've actually got to build the contract, then make it a smart contract, and then make sure the system works at scale and it's compliant so that we can allow you to start trading your tokens. But it is well underway. So thank you again, everybody who has sent links, who has educated me, who has lent me your ear, who has let me pitch you, to John Francis, who let me come round and figure out how we would talk to people about this and get them to understand the value of it. Thank you to the Corco community and everybody who has been a part of this. Stay tuned, stay dry. I mean, it's really raining now. Most of the tickets have gone for the Swell now, but there are some left at both venues. I was on the boat the other day doing a recce on that, figuring out how Andy and the gang are going to get it from Dover to Calais and then up to the Bruges Castle. It's a mad journey. And if you are planning on coming to the Swell, please make a note of how many miles and by what mode of transport you get there, because when I do my workshop and talk, it's going to involve us all figuring out how much cost there was in us getting to this room and us thinking about how many trees it would take to plant. And we will be planting trees at the Bruges Castle. We're going to be planting knotted willow, which I've never heard of before, but Armory tells me that it grows beautifully there, very naturally. So we're going to be doing that together. I'm going to go inside, look out for new agreements. My laptop is getting absolutely soaked. I will see you guys very soon. Take it easy.
And feel the remedy, the solace of the trees and the warmth of the fire and the roar